Elon Musk explains why a millionaire black homeless man is unintentionally engaged. The headline slammed across every screen like a thunderclap. How could this be real? Alex Rivera, a tech giant ruling the city's skyline with his innovations, entangled in a scandal no one saw coming. And the other man? Elijah, a black homeless man wrapped in tattered clothes so worn they barely hung on. Rumor was, Elon Musk himself shattered the silence, hinting at a bizarre secret. Elijah is Alex's fiancé. Whether either of them wanted it or not, the city buzzed. Neon signs flickered as crowds paused, faces lit only by their phones. People whispered, some laughed nervously, others stared wide-eyed, unable to believe that the high-flying entrepreneur, known for his ruthless ambition, was caught in a story so strange it felt made up. Alex didn't even know what hit him. The night had started like every other, his steps echoing on glossy sidewalks, the sharp scent of rain mixing with exhaust, skyscrapers towering like gods of glass and steel. His mind raced with pitches, deals, and numbers. Success painted his life in dazzling gold and electric blue. But beneath the shine, his heart clenched in silence, hollow and aching. Money, fame, it didn't dream it away. But Elijah's gaze didn't waver. "Why would you say that?" Alex stammered, his voice cracking. A cold lump settled deep in his throat. Elijah's answer was a question back. "Because you owe me. Because we're connected, more than you think." A sudden hush fell on the street as a trash can clanged somewhere nearby. Passers-by stopped, sensing the tension, like an electric storm, ready to break. Some pulling out their phones, others exchanging uneasy glances. The story spiraled fast, fueled by whispers of family secrets, long buried, shadowed pasts tangled by silence and pride. The tangled knot wasn't just about two men from different worlds. It was about history, pain, and a legacy that neither could escape. Alex, surrounded by his glittering empire, felt the ground shift beneath him. The neat little world he built threatened to collapse, torn apart by a truth dragged out into the unforgiving light. He clenched his fists, teeth grinding as his old prejudices clawed like ghosts in his mind. Elijah was a mirror, showing him everything he refused to see. Elijah, too, bore scars, mental and real, etched by years on cold streets, by being forgotten and judged. But this claim, this fight for justice, was bigger than either of them realized. And just when it seemed like the city might hold its breath, waiting to see who would break first, a new threat crept into their tangled story. A danger blurred by shadows and whispered promises, forcing Alex and Elijah toward a fragile partnership neither wanted but both needed. Could Alex peel back the mask of privilege and pain before it's too late? Could Elijah trust the man who once stood miles away in a life he never imagined sharing? The night deepened. The city lights shimmered, cold and distant. And somewhere between desperation and hope, the next move waited. The question wasn't just who was telling the truth, it was what truth they did. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The night deepened around them, shadows weaving through the streets. Elijah stood firm, his words heavy in the air, waiting for Alex's response. Tension crackled like electricity. But before either of them could speak, the world exploded. A piercing scream erupted from the crowd. All heads turned as a figure fell from a nearby rooftop, crashing into the alley, just a few feet from where Elijah stood. A collective gasp resonated through the onlookers, their phones momentarily forgotten as they recoiled from the shocking scene. The sound of shattering glass echoed, a haunting prelude to what followed. Time froze. As the first few people rushed to the body, whispers spread like wildfire. Who was it? What happened? It broke the electric spell binding Elijah and Alex, ripping them from their conversation. But in that instant, something shifted. Something deeper. Alex stumbled back, eyes darting from the dazed face on the ground to Elijah, whose expression morphed from confusion to sudden understanding. "It can't be," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. The figure sprawled on the pavement was unrecognizable, but the clothing had a familiar cut. The crowd parted with rumbling uncertainty, and amidst the chaos, a tiny piece of fabric, but tattered scarf, caught Alex's eye. It was the same one he had seen months ago. A chill crept down his spine. Elijah approached cautiosamente, his heart pounding. "Señor," he stilled himself, gripando su cabeza, sintiendo este coso familiar. "Es mi hermano." "¿Tu hermano?" La mente de Alex se corría. Millones de preguntas clamando por su atención. "Nunca dijiste que tenías familia, Elijah." "Yo no pensé que te lo permitiera ese estado, perdido como yo." His handes chocaba, handes que habían sido fuertes, pero ahora sean tremendo en incredulidad. Alex felt a deep sense of empathy wash over him, but there was no time to dwell on it. As the paramedics arrived, a deep confusion settled in the air. Elijah knelt beside his brother, disbelief visible in every line of his face. The blue lights flashed, illuminating shock and fear in the eyes around them. A wave of humanity surged forth, people instinctively rushing to help. But Alex remained frozen, watching as a shroud of sorrow encased Elijah. "Are you all right?" he finally managed to ask, desperation coating his words. Elijah's gaze rose to meet Alex's, a mixture of grief and fury swirling in his dark eyes. He had secrets, secrets I never knew. And now his voice broke, the weight of loss heavy in the air. "Now I'll never find out." But something buzzed beneath the surface, a heartbeat of urgency that neither could ignore. The atmosphere thickened with a sense of unearthing. Just as they were reeled into a quiet moment of despair, a detective arrived, jacket pulled tight, urgency painted across his face. "Anyone know this man?" he barked, his voice cutting through the coil of grief. He glanced toward Alex, and Elijah felt the tremor run through him again. He's part of a bigger case. We need answers. The world stopped spinning, the crowd's murmurs fading into a low hum. Secrets yet unvoiced wove around them, echoing old ghosts and lying relationships. Who was this brother? What did he know? And why did Alex feel as if he had wandered into something far deeper than lost connections? With their lives irrevocably intertwined, Alex and Elijah stood on the precipice of discovery, shadowed by the unasked questions. Was this just the beginning? Or were they staring into a void that would reveal everything they had hidden from themselves? The night thickened with uncertainty. In that moment, as they looked down at the chaos unfolding, fear tangled with a hint of shared purpose. The truths waiting just beneath the surface were throbbing like an open wound, begging to be exposed. The night deepened, shadows lengthening beneath the glow of cold city lights. Tension crackled in the air. Alex stood there, heart racing, words hanging on the edge of a cliff. Elijah's gaze connected? Alex scoffed, bitterness twisting his gut. You don't know me. You can't just claim that you're my fiancé? A nearby couple paused, eyes wide, the flicker of their phone screens casting panic on their faces. Whispers crept through the crowd like a wave, the word fiancé swirling with disbelief. But Alex had no time to process. In the distance, an urgent siren wailed, slicing through the charged air. Then came a crash. That horrible shattering sound of glass breaking. Panic erupted. People scattered, some yelling, others falling back, desperate to escape. Get down! Oh! Elijah yelled, pushing Alex to the ground. Just as a shadow zipped by, de momentum frozen, their bodies prestos closos a la cula concreta. They could barely breathe. A figura emerge del caos, long cote billowing into noche, gun flashing under the streetlights. Get out of here, now! The figure shouted, chaos unfolding like a nightmare. Alex's pulse hammering his ears. As he looked up from the ground, he caught a glimpse of Elijah's face. There was stark recognition, terror morphing into agony. You! Elijah gasped, voice trembling. What are you doing here? The figure stops in their tracks, the crowd now in complete turmoil. Alex squinted, breath hitching. Who is that? Elijah's expression shifted from fear to pure shock. The man stepped closer, illuminated by the neon glow. Booted feet crunching glass, an officer, but not just any cop. This was Officer Reyes, a haunting presence from Elijah's past. A name wrapped in whatever you've heard. It's not true, Reyes shouted above the din, but both Alex and Elijah could see through the bravado. Disgrace clung to him. You don't understand, Elijah. I'm here to help. Fragments of the past collided in Alex's mind, but he barely had time to grasp the weight of it all before Elijah surged to his feet, desperation lighting his eyes. Help? You were supposed to protect us! He spat the words like venom. Reyes stepped closer, voice low, intense. We're in deeper than you know. They're coming. For both of you. Alex looked between them, confusion twisting his stomach. Coming for what? What are you talking about? But before Reyes could answer, a blinding flash lit up the street. Then silence fell, heavy and thick, a gasp echoing through the crowd. Eyes darted, panic replaced by a collective hold of breath. The officer crumpled to the ground, life pouring out onto the street in a rush that mirrored Elijah's past. The crowd froze, entranced by the sight. Shock washing over faces. Elijah fell to his knees. "No! No!" Eyes wide, he reached out, and time seemed to collapse around them. Alex knelt beside him, fingers trembling, heart racing in fear and confusion. History took shape before them in that moment, raw and jagged. "What does this mean?" Alex whispered, breath hitching. An inexplicable emptiness filled the air, questions hanging, aching for answers. Unseen forces loomed closer, whispering secrets that neither man fully understood. One thing was clear. This was just the beginning. The truth was bigger than either could handle. As Elijah looked into Alex's eyes, change loomed over them like a dark cloud. Uncertainty flickered between them. Neither knew if their next move would break them or bind them forever. A heavy weight settled in the pit of their stomachs, a mystery tightening its grip as the city buzzed around their fragile reality. Elijah knelt there, heart racing, breath shallow, as dread racked around him like a thick fog. The weight of loss surged within him, raw and open, but it was overshadowed by a deeper sense of urgency igniting in his chest. "Reyes!" he shouted, voice quivering. "What do you mean they're coming for us?" Alex remained hunched beside him, confusion swimming in his eyes as he scanned the scene unfolding around them. He tried to process Reyes's words while the chaos sunk its claws deeper into the night. The crowd, now a swirling mass of shock and fear, mirrored the tumult inside him. Sirens wailed, lights flashed, the world felt like it was closing in. "Both of you are tangled in something bigger," Reyes replied, gasping for clarity through the pain. "I thought this would be over by now, but it's not." His breath hitched as he pushed himself up, eyes darting about for any lingering danger. Behind the flashing red and blue, there was a sense of urgency that screamed for attention. But then, another sound, a low rumble that shook the ground beneath them. The crowd began to murmur anxiously, glancing skyward. Alex felt a prickling sensation crawl up his spine, tension thickening the air. He exchanged a worried glance with Elijah, who still knelt. "A surveillance unit?" Reyes muttered, his voice crawling with dread. Then, all at once, the drone unleashed a torrent of bright, strobing lights, casting long shadows that danced across the ground. Chaos surged again. People screamed, sending their phones tumbling to the pavement, some tripping as they tried to escape the blinding rays. Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. "What's it doing?" he shouted, but the confusion spread too fast for clear answers. And just then, the drone's speakers crackled to life, piercing through the screams. "We have an important message," a voice boomed, cold and calculated. "Elijah Johnson, you are to surrender immediately. You are wanted for questioning regarding the disappearance of multiple persons." A stunned silence engulfed the street. Eyes fell on Elijah, shock etched on every face around them. It was as if time stopped, every whisper frozen. Alex's heart raced, dread coiling tightly within him. "What? You can't be serious!" Elijah's face paled, the blood draining away as if the words had physically struck him. "No, this can't be. They're wrong," he stammered, shaking his head, disbelief painting his features in shades of terror. "I didn't do anything!" But Reyes moved closer. His eyes narrowed, as if probing for truth. "You're hiding something. You have to tell us what's going on." Elijah opened su boca para responder, una flash y tanto pero es rara. Otro disparo rascó. La carga era más ir al aire humedoso. Esta vez no fue del caos, sino del desastre más arriba. Una aclamación temblorosa que el ahinto enduedo del pánico más. Tiempo se santuvo el corazón de Alex pesado en su pecho. ¿Cómo era ella? La multitud se profundó y se apagó de horror. Llenó Elijah una pantalla con palabras. The crowd recoiled, divided by gasps. The truth hung thick like a heavy mist, creeping into every corner of their minds. The connection, the secret, everything began to tilt, revealing a perverse tapestry weaving through their lives. Just then, as sirens blared and shadows mingled with light, the drone hummed ominously above, a harbinger of chaos, delivering truth, or perhaps deception. It felt like everything was about to unravel, and in that moment of panic, one question loomed larger than all others. What secrets lay hidden beneath the surface of their lives, waiting to break free? The night hung thick with tension. Alex swallowed hard, trying to process Elijah's claim. But before he could respond, a sudden explosion of sound shattered the air. A violent crash echoed from across the street. A surge of light erupted from a nearby building, illuminating the darkened alley, just like a camera flash at a gala event. Bup, 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 bup. People began to scatter, hearts racing, breaths quickening. Alex's eyes darted toward the source of chaos, confusion swirling within him like a storm. Just as he turned to Elijah, he felt a sharp jab in his side, a pocket of air where connection should have been filled. "Elijah!" he shouted, but it was too late. Elijah had vanished into the night, swallowed by the throng of startled faces. The sharp smell of smoke stung Alex's nostrils. He stumbled toward the scene, where storefront windows had shattered, raining glass like glittering rain upon the pavement. His mind raced. Was this random? Or was someone sending a message? Dread pooled in his stomach. He bumped into a stranger, their startled gaze mirroring his own fear. "What happened?" Alex demanded, searching their eyes for answers, but finding only shock. As he edged closer to the chaos, he spotted Elijah on the ground. His heart dropped. Elijah was crumpled beside un flicker streetlight. A steel frame splayed across him. Alex lunged forward, panic propelling his feet. "Elijah!" He pushed through the crowd, hands trembling as he knelt beside him. But when he reached for him, something caught his eye. A note fluttering in the breeze next to Elijah's hand. The world faded as he grabbed it, reading the scribbled words. "You can't escape who you are." His breath hitched as the sirens wailed in the distance. A low murmur went through the crowd. "What does that mean? Who sent it?" Someone murmured, glancing nervously over their shoulder. Suddenly, a figure clad in dark clothing stepped forward from the shadows, pulling back the hood to reveal a young woman with fierce eyes and a defiant stare. "You think this is done? This is just the beginning," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. Alex felt the blood drain from his face. He recognized her, a figure from his past, someone he thought he'd left behind. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words lodged in his throat. "She wants revenge for what you did," the woman accused, her fingers stabbing toward him like a lightning bolt. "You can't hide forever, Alex. You owe it all to her." His mind whirled, memories flooded back, urgent and painful, clashing with his current reality. He had moved on, hadn't he? But here they were, tangled once again by choices made long ago. The crowd, once a sea of onlookers, erupted with exclamations, questions, accusations, gasps of horror. Alex glanced back at Elijah, still prone, unconscious. All sense of clarity slipped away like water through his fingers. A guttural shout erupted from the back. "Run!" And suddenly, the crowd surged, panic erupting as they fled the scene. Alex's heart thundered. Did Elijah really have a connection to this? What secrets lay hidden in the folds of their lives? As he knelt by Elijah's side, a new realization struck him. How could he ever face the truth of his own life when all around him lay chaos and judgment? He looked up at the woman, confusion and fears swirling within. "What do you know?" he demanded, desperation etching its way into his voice. And the night swallowed his words, leaving an ominous stillness in its wake. As the sirens wailed closer, the question of truth hung heavy in the air, and it became clear the story was just beginning to unfurl, like the first light of dawn splintering through the dark. The night deepened, shadows stretching like cold fingers across the asphalt. Alex and Elijah stood there, the air thick with tension. Every heartbeat seemed to amplify the world around them. The city roared, but fell silent around them, eyes turning like unyielding searchlights. "What do you mean we're connected?" Alex demanded, fists clenching. The words felt heavy, awkward, like stones in his pockets. He understood Elijah. Elijah stepped closer, the distance collapsing. "You think you know everything, don't you? But you don't know the truth." Suddenly, a cacophony erupted behind them. A crash, followed by shouts, scattered the crowd. A sleek black car careened across the street, nearly grazing pedestrians. Sirens pierced the night, blue and red lights flashing, illuminating faces twisted in shock. Then, as quickly as the noise began, it was replaced by an eerie silence. Elijah's eyes widened, and he reached for Alex's arm. "They're coming! We need to go!" But just as Alex turned, ready to escape the chaos, a man stepped out of the car, sharp suit, cold eyes. The crowd held its breath. "Alex Rivera," he barked, voice cutting through the murmurs. "We need to talk." "Who are you?" Alex questioned, heart racing, each pulse hammered in his ears, drowning out everything else. The man's lips curled into a smirk. "I'm here about your fiancé." The word exploded like a firecracker. Elijah's grip tightened, his breath hitching. "I'm not." "Silence!" the man snapped, eyes narrowing. "What you think is just a claim is more than that. Elijah is connected to you in ways you can't imagine." He stepped forward, hazarding a look at Elijah, eyes glinting with recognition. "Your father had secrets, Alex. Family secrets." An icy wave swept over Alex. "What do you mean?" It clawed at his insides, igniting a fear that threatened to consume him. The man leaned in, lowering his voice. "You don't know the truth of your past. Elijah holds a key. A key to your family's legacy. You think he crashed into your life by accident? Think again." A mute gasp rippled through the small crowd. Confused faces turned toward the two men, half conscious of the storm brewing on the fringes of their lives. Seconds stretched, filled with electrifying reality. Their worlds, once seemingly separate, now anchored by a shared history, a past shadowed in whispers. "What the hell does that mean?" Alex's voice cracked, fear clawing within him. "What are you saying?" Elijah's face paled. I don't understand." The man threw back his head, laughing bitterly. "You don't know the half of it. You're more than just a witness. You're part of this. Blood connects you both." Alex's mind spiraled. All the unturned stones, shadows of doubt about his life, cracked open. "What? Blood? What's happening?" A voice chimed from the crowd. A woman, gripped by disbelief, her phone now recording every moment. Before Alex could demand answers, the man turned and gestured to a waiting car, eyes wild with urgency. "Learn the truth. Find out why you can never walk away from him." The sirens wailed louder, drowning the moment in chaos, yet the truth echoed between them, heavy and unwelcome. Alex felt reality unravel, the fragile thread connecting them fraying more with each revelation. "Do you trust him?" The man's gaze flickered from Alex to Elijah, searching for answers where none existed. "Or is it time to let go?" The question trembled in the air, a punch to the gut. Trust in this storm of secrets? The night dragged on, filled with uncertainty. Their hearts raced into the unknown, a mystery deepening with each breath taken in the tension-drenched air. Each awaited step felt fraught with potential, the past clawing for freedom. And behind all the questions lingered one unbearable truth. Everything they thought they knew could shatter in an instant. What connected them might unhinge them completely. The night deepened. The city lights shimmered cold and distant. Tension hung thicker than the fog rolling in. Alex felt it in his gut. Elijah's gaze pierced through him, full of desperation and defiance. Just a heartbeat away stood the boundary of his carefully constructed world. A wall now threatened to crumble. And bodies recoiled. A dark figure barreled through the crowd, moving like smoke in the wind, too fast and too frantic. "Get down!" a voice yelled, but it barely reached anyone. The chaos unfolded like a nightmare. People scattered, fear erupting across faces that had just been watching with curiosity. Elijah pulled Alex close, his grip vice-like. "We need to move!" His voice was urgent, filled with a fire Alex had never noticed before. But Alex was frozen, caught between shock and sheer disbelief. The world felt surreal, as if everything he had ever known was unraveling at the seam. And then it hit him. Dot! The dark figure, running toward them, was holding something metallic, glinting under the streetlights. A gun. It was a realization that gripped him tighter than Elijah's hold. In a split second, clarity mixed with horror. This was more than a bizarre claim or a scandal. It was life or death. Bang! A loud noise, deafening. A body crumpled to the ground. The air thickened with cries and gasps. The scene slowed, but Alex's heart raced. Instinct kicked in. Run! He finally managed to scream, shoving Elijah forward. But as they turned, another cry rang out, one that sliced straight through the noise. Elijah! A voice carried across the chaos, sharp and accusing. A woman emerged, frantic, eyes wild with panic. What are you doing? You don't belong here. The question struck like lightning. Elijah hesitated. Confusion flickered across his face. I'm not, he began. But the woman's gaze went straight through him, holding secrets deeper than the streets they stood on. Get away from him, she shouted. And Alex could see the recognition dawning on her. Elijah's voice cracked. Mom? The word hung heavy in the air, shattering everything Alex thought he understood. In that split second, Elijah's identity flipped like a switch. The homeless man, the fiancé, the broken soul. He was more than just a reflection of Alex's privilege. He was a man with a past, a name carved in a different life. The tattered clothes, the hardships, they were a veil for a family torn apart. The realization hit Alex harder than the chaos around him. Elijah wasn't just running from his reality. He had been pushed into it. The woman's presence revealed a lineage eclipsed by shame, a family hidden in the folds of Alex's own wealth. Bang! Another shot rang out, splitting the tension. The crowd surged, a wave of bodies retreating from the threat. Alex grabbed Elijah's wrist, dragging him away. But the weight of the woman's words lingered like a ghost, choking him. Questions spiraled. What was Elijah running from? Why had this woman come for him now? Then, just as quickly as it had begun, the chaos softened. Silhouettes faded into the distance, leaving nothing but two men caught between specters of truth and lies. Alex turned to Elijah. We need to talk, now! But the doubt raced back like a tide. How could he trust the very person he barely knew? As they fled into the shadowy alleys, hands still clasped, uncertainties flooded their minds like the rain that began to fall, each drop marking a new beginning and an ending still to come. And somewhere in the depths of that storm lay the answer they both needed to uncover. Would they dare? The night deepened as Alex pulled Elijah alongside him. Both men still gripping the thread of their fraying world. The chaos blurred around them, each step heavier than the last. We need to find somewhere safe, Alex whispered, urgency pouring into every word. He scanned the street ahead, aware that danger lurked just beyond the shadows. Elijah nodded, but his face was drawn, haunted. I don't even know where to go anymore, he admitted, pain lacing his voice. Each word felt like a thin thread, ready to snap. Then, from behind them, a piercing scream split through the night like glass shattering. Instinctively, they turned, hearts racing. A young girl, tears streaming down her cheeks, pointed toward the chaos they had just fled. A shape lurked in the darkness, moving with unnerving intent. A flicker of metal glinted in the streetlight. Run! Alex shouted, derragando a la hija después de la fuerza de la incertidumbre, presionándose. Pero luego vino un crash, explosiones fuera de vidrio, en campaña. ¡Uf! Gritos de fatalidad eruptuante donde más te rechina. se justabia. Cuando responde la realización, no fuere para algo que es. Alex! The figure retumbó, and everything froze. In the half-light, Alex recognized her. It was Lena, the very woman he had thought was lost forever. Buried in the past, he thought he had escaped. The memories rushed back like a tidal wave. Laughter, love, secrets surrounding a crack that had left them both scarred. Lena! He gasped, disbelief mingling with confusion. She staggered forward, eyes wide and desperate. I've been trying to find you! You have to listen! The urgency in her voice was raw, as if she'd fought battles just to get here. But before Alex could reach out, a shot rang out, a deafening crack that shattered the air. Elijah yelped, ducking, pulling Alex down with him. Time slowed as the world spun around them. The noise replaced by a heartbeat, a frantic pulse pounding in Alex's ears. He glanced to the side, horrified to see Lena hit the ground, clutching her side, blood pooling into the asphalt. No! Lena! He cried, scrambling to her side, panic clawing at his insides. Elijah Hover, incertidumbre ancorado sobre él. Estante bajo, sus ojos plegándole la comprensión. No te entiendo. ¿Ah? No soy aquí para usted. Ecoa, filín pequeños soliábagos, enricontrar su cabeza. Ya, tienes que confiarme antes. They know about you. About us. Then a hand gripped Alex's shoulder hard. Reyes, the officer from moments before, face pale but determined. Get her out of here, he yelled. But before Alex could react, a blaring siren split the night, and suddenly the streets were flooded with officers, lights flashing, chaos erupting again. Lena, what? Run! You can't let them take you, she gasped, eyes fierce, searching for something deeper in his gaze. The realization hit Elijah was stepping back, confusion enveloping him like mist. No, we can't leave her, he protested, voice rising with urgency. But in that moment, another shot rang out, not towards them, but at Lena's legs, and everything shattered again. The crowd screamed, pushing back in fear, but not before Alex's world tilted on its axis. Lena met his eyes, and in a moment of clarity, she whispered, You're my brother, Alex. We share blood, family. You have a choice to make. The fracture ripped through Alex, mind racing, heart pounding. Shock surrounded him, echoed in the faces of the crowd, processing the gravity of her claim. Brother? He didn't know whether to feel anger, confusion, or something deeper. Reality twisted around him. A tight knot of secrets exploded around them. And before he could respond, more chaos erupted, drifting into darkness. Everything was crashing down, yet he stood frozen, feeling intertwined with both Elijah and this woman he had lost. The night, charged with uncertainty, surged around them, upheaval spiraling in every direction. Each breath tasted of doubt. What had just been whispered into existence turned the entire world upside down. As the figures closed in, dread painted the sky. What was happening? Who were they really? The puzzle expanded, pulling them into a storm deeper than any of them could fathom. And in the looming shadows, they were left questioning everything they thought they had known, including themselves. The night swallowed them whole. Alex stumbled back from Lena, the shock of her revelation ringing in his ears like a bell tolling in a darkened church. Brother? It felt surreal, a truth emerging from shadows. But the chaos around him didn't let him linger. Every heartbeat was stitched into the fabric of panic, unraveling before him. "Stay close!" Elijah shouted, his voice cutting through the clamor. But the words faded, diluted by the mob of fleeing bodies. Alex felt the earth tilt beneath him, gripping onto this new truth as if it could anchor him amidst the storm. Then came another shot, a thunderous crack that echoed off the buildings and shattered the night. The crowd screamed, scattering in a frenzy. Eyes wide, Alex looked back. Lena lay motionless, blood pooling beneath her, the asphalt soaking in red like it was thirsty. "Lena!" he cried, fear clawing at his throat. "Elijah, help me!" But Elijah's eyes were glued to Lena, disbelief twisting his features. The world around them blurred into panic, and Alex instinctively moved to protect them both. But the noise jumped to a fever pitch. Then silence. The sudden quiet buzzed in the air like electricity, sending tremors through Alex's bones. Everyone froze. Every gaze turned back toward Lena, whose face was pale, shock etching deeper by the second. Then, as if time had melted, another body emerged from the darkness, staggering forward. Another figure from Alex's past. It was Marcus, a friend from years ago, eyes wide, haunted. "You have to go! They're coming! We can't stay here!" "What are you talking about?" Alex barely recognized his own voice. "The truth. It's bigger than you think," Marcus gasped, fear laden with urgency. "I didn't want this for you. I tried to protect you." His breath hitched, anguish mixing with the weight of his words. Elijah's voice cut in, sharp and desperate. "Protect me from what?" The question echoed meaningfully, raw, like a wound barely scabbed over. But before Marcus could reply, the drone turn continued, hovering ominously overhead. Beams of light scanning the street. They caught everyone in a web of fear. Whispers filled the air, until a loudspeaker erupted. "Everyone disperse immediately!" In that moment of conflicting chaos, the ground seemed to pulsate, and time split. A figure in the distance emerged from the shadows, tall and imposing. "Elijah!" The figure roared, piercing through the panic. It was a man dressed in black, from head to toe, unmistakably powerful. "We've been looking for you!" "Who are you?" Alex demanded, heart racing. "What do you want with him?" But that wasn't the shocking part. The man stopped and turned. His face morphed into a sinister smile as he leaned into the light. A wave of recognition crashed over Alex like icy water. The face was a mirror of his own, twisted with malice, full of dark secrets and unspoken truths. "Ah, brother," he sneered. "Looks like you finally found your other half." Everything shook. The world tilted dangerously as Alex staggered back. His breath raced, a lump forming in his throat. No, this can't be. "Ease your twin," Elijah whispered, the truth sinking like lead into water. "You were separated at birth. The family secrets, they run deeper than you know." Shock coursed through Alex, spiraling his mind into confusion. The moment expanded, crushing every certainty he carried. Marcus staggered forward, urgency sparking through his voice. We have to get out of here. But that didn't matter now. The pieces fell into place with disturbing clarity. The weight of his life, the choices made, the pain taken on, wove a tangled web entrapping them. Relationships warped, shadows grew, tension hung thick like fog, ready to suffocate. The man, their brother, cloaked in darkness, grinned wider as the chaos spiraled up again. What did he want? What more truths would resurface in this night of revelations? And with a sudden, knife-edge clarity, Alex understood. The darkness wasn't just within him. It was a legacy, a history bound to repeat itself. Everything he thought he knew was just the beginning of a far more devastating game. The quiet threat loomed, waiting, ready to unravel not only him, but Elijah, everything entwined within this chaotic truth. The future flickered dimly, a haunting specter resting heavily on their hearts. Something had shifted, profoundly, irrevocably, and all they could do was navigate the storm ahead. The night felt endless, but the confrontation couldn't be avoided any longer. Alex's heart pounded as he stepped in front of Elijah, shielding him from their newly discovered brother. You won't come near him. A weight of the moment pressed on Alex like lead. The man's sneer widened, but as his cold eyes flicked over to Lena, panic crossed his face. You shouldn't have come here, Lena, he hissed. You've complicated everything. We're all complicated, Lena replied, struggling to lift her head. Blood seeped from her side, but there was a fire in her eyes. You never cared about family. Not then, not now. With that, the tension snapped. Chaos erupted around them, people clashing, confusion flooding the streets. Alex took a step back, dizzy from the revelations. We're family, whether you like it or not, he shouted, voice rising against the cacophony, desperation lacing his words. You don't know what family means, Alex. Their brother shot back. It's tangled with darkness and secrets. It's not the fairy tale you think. And yet, it's our story, Elijah interjected, his voice strong. I've lived in shadows long enough. We can't allow the darkness to claim us. The crowd surged, witnessing the escalating drama, eyes darting between the figures standing in stark contrast. Brother against brother, a fight for the very core of who they were. Fear gripped Alex tightly, but beneath it was courage, fueled by the truth. Enough! He shouted, voice breaking. No more running! The words struck like a hammer. Suddenly, Reyes rushed forward, urgency in his stride. We need to get out of here, now! He glanced at Lena, then at the men. This is spiraling too fast. We can't stay exposed. But their brother smirked, stepping farther into the light, defiantly. You think you can just get away? You don't even know what's at stake. Alex felt the walls closing in. All of it, the family legacy, Elijah's history, Lena's struggles, it was more than they could carry. Then help us understand, he yelled, exasperated. Let's end the warfare and start fresh. For a heartbeat, the world fell silent, the weight of Alex's plea hanging in the air. And then, as if sensing vulnerability, their brother took a step back. You really think you can change what's been done? He asked, a flicker of uncertainty breaking through. And I just stepped forward, heart-pounding determination written on his face. We can't change the past, but we can forge a new path, together. With that, something shifted. The air thickened, and the shadows felt less suffocating. The promise of unity, however fragile, sparked hope. Just then, sirens wailed, drawing closer. The moment was waning. "Run!" Reyes shouted, eyes darting to the chaos brewing. "Now! Go!" Alex yelled urgently, pulling Elijah closer. He turned to Lena, and their gazes locked. "We'll come back for you." It felt like a promise, though doubt took root in his heart. The crowd began to scatter, but Alex and Elijah pushed through, adrenaline carrying them away from the looming threat. They rushed down dimly lit alleyways, desperate to escape the claws of their past. But each step felt heavier as pieces of their lives unraveled. The world outside echoed with potential. But what awaited them? The lingering weight of family secrets clung to them tight. As dawn approached, the sky blushed with hues of orange and pink. A new day emerging from the darkness. For the first time, uncertainty moved aside for possibility. Alex glanced at Elijah, unsure how they'd navigate this new reality. But something glimmered in the air, an unspoken understanding. "Whatever comes next," Alex said softly, "we face it together." Elijah nodded, a small but determined smile. But the mysteries remained, threats lingering and questions unanswered. And as they forged ahead, the sirens faded into the background, leaving uncertainty in their wake. And just before they turned the corner, one last thought echoed in Alex's mind. How deep would the ties of family reach? But you know what's more important? You need to listen up right now, and here's why. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories that dive even deeper into these mysteries. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this story alive. Your engagement is so crucial. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. I want to hear every thought you've got. And if you've got friends who need to see this wild journey, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even a second longer to share.